Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner. Today we are going to be making some dimensional elements for our cards. Now these are really fun, and using this baby balloon from Altenew is very sweet. So you can do this with many different dyes, but they do have to be symmetrical, so let's get on with it, shall we? So I'm going to be using the baby balloon from Altenew. I'm going to be using the stamp set and the matching die to create the elements on the card that you've just seen. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of stamping. So all in all, I stamped 15 of these little balloons. So I'm using a little bit of stamp rotation. It's a little bit like crop rotation in the fields, but this time we're doing it on stamps. So as you can see, I am stamping multiples of these. So I'm using 3 different pieces of cardstock, and I am just going away, just stamping them one by one and then moving them. So as you can see, I started with the balloon, I stamped the outline, and then I popped in a layer once I had stamped that one, and then moved the balloon again, moved the layer that I stamped on the first balloon down to the second balloon, added another layer onto the first balloon, and then kept going like that. So none of the balloon outline images that I'd stamped didn't go without a layer while I was going through this. So I did manage to get 5 different balloons on my piece of cardstock. So this is a MISTI. It did really help to use the MISTI to, just to save time a little bit and do this little bit of stamp rotation that I am doing. So for the balloons, I used permanent black ink for the outlines, and I used Mango Smoothie for the yellow parts of the balloon. I did add the Mango Smoothie to all 3 of the colour combos of the balloons that I did. So for the blue balloon, I used Aqualicious. For the pink balloon, I did use the Coral Bliss, which is beautiful, one of my favourite colours from the last release. And I also used some Sweet Leaf for the green balloon as well. I must say that using a MISTI isn't an absolute necessity to these cards. You can do them with just a normal acrylic block. And if you're only making one of the cards, you're only going to need 5 of the balloons, or however many different die cuts that you want to add to your dimensional element. So you don't really need to worry about the MISTI at this part. You could just use a normal acrylic block. So I'm adding in the basket as well. So the basket, I'm using the limestone, and also for the shadows on the basket as well, I'm going to be using some silverstone as well. I thought that keeping the basket a little bit lighter and brighter would really help the card out. So I'm then going to die cut all of my balloon images, and you are going to need the coordinating die for this, just to make sure that all your die cuts are exactly the same, and this is going to make your card really perfect and they line up really well. So I wouldn't recommend fussy cutting all of these out, because you may get, a little bit different cuts. So the die is a great one for this. You could use different dies, maybe a balloon that's symmetrical and things like that. You don't necessarily have to stamp it. You could have just cut it out of pattern paper to create a beautiful balloon. So this is what we're going to be creating. And I've already done the coral one, so I'm going to show you how I do a couple of the score lines, and then we're going to get on with it again. So I'm just lining it up on a line on my scoreboard, and I'm going to go down the center of this die cut. Make sure that it is pretty central, because you're going to want to fold these edges up and make sure that they do match exactly. So you're going to want to make sure that they match exactly, and then you're going to be able to give it a really good score line then. So I would recommend using an odd number of balloons. You don't have to, but an odd number really works well for when you flatten it down to go into a card. You can put the one that it is odd on the top and fold that out, and it's going to lie nice and flat to fit into an envelope. So I'm going to just show you this last time, just how I did it. So I've done the score line, matched the edges up, and give myself a really good score line. So I have 5 of my balloons here. You could do 3, you could do 7, you could go really wild and maybe create a full one for a mobile if you wanted to. So I'm just going to stick these together now, and I am just adding glue to one side of the balloon, and I'm using the Altenew glue tape, and it is really, really sticky. And I think I may have put a little bit too much adhesive down because my fingers did end up sticking to it, but I wanted to make sure that these were really going to be stuck well and not open up in any way, shape or form. So that's why I've added so much adhesive. And it really works. You can see how sticky it is when my fingers get stuck to it as well. So I'm adding these all together, so just folding the one on top of the other, adding adhesive to one side and then popping the other one on top as well. So I'm just going to add the last one on now. Again, I'm just going to be using my adhesive. As you can see that I do have various elements on the back of my cardstock die cuts. This is because I used scraps pieces of paper. So you can use them up and just, you know, use the nice side and make sure that the other side is covered. So there we go. I have my 3 balloons all ready and raring to go. So I'm going to add this onto my card base just to make sure I can position my sentiment properly. So I'm just using a little mini MISTI here, and you don't have to, you could just use your acrylic block, but I just wanted all my sentiments on the 3 cards to be in exactly the same place, so I thought this was the way to go. After stamping all of the sentiments onto my card bases, I can now add my little balloons. So I'm folding it out flat and adding some more adhesive onto the backs of them. As you can see, I did go a little bit crazy. I don't think you necessarily need this amount of adhesive, but I just wanted to be safe. You can see how sticky it is there. So I'm just gonna make sure that I have it nice and flat. I'm holding all the pieces together so it's nice and flat so I can position it properly. Once it's positioned, I'm gonna really fold that down and I'm gonna fold the other elements up again. So you can see that it's really easy to create the dimensional element again once it has been folded flat. So it's easy to pop in an envelope, sorry. So I'm going to show you how easy, and it does flip lovely and nice and flat into an envelope, and it fits in nice. There we go. And you can see when you do take it back out of the envelope, all the recipient is going to need to do is fold up those little layers again, and it's nice and perfect again. So I love the pop-up elements. It gives so much fun and dimension, and I really do like how it looks. So these are the 3 cards together. You can see how much dimension they all do have, and they do all go flat again. So for this one I used Aqualicious and Mango Smoothie for the layers here. This one I used Sweet Leaf and Mango Smoothie for the layers, and for the coral one I used Coral Bliss and Mango Smoothie. I used permanent black for the outlines on all of them, as well as Silverstone and Limestone inks for the basket. So I really do hope that you like the cards and the idea that I've shared with you today, and I really do hope that you give it a go as well. Any dies or stamps would work really well for this that are symmetrical. You do need symmetrical elements to create this beautiful, beautiful look effect. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you don't want to miss out on any videos that we do upload to the channel, please subscribe. There are a couple more videos here that if you would like to watch them, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Goodbye.